You know, the existence of Jeff the Land Shark implies that there are other kinds of non-water-based sharks in Marvel, which just reminds me of this really awful, low-budget horror film that I watched with my roommate called Sharks of the Corn. If you're like me and you like terrible horror flicks and you've got, I think it was a little less than 2 hours, so just like a couple of hours free, give it a watch and let me know what you think. Also, try to count the number of different ways that they pronounce the shark deity's name. That was a ride in itself. Ladies and gentlemen, that bell means class is once again in session. Hello and welcome back to Strategist 101. My name is Raz, and today we'll be discussing healing abilities in Marvel Rivals. We'll go over a lot of math in this episode, covering healing values, attack speeds for characters who have their healing attached to their primary attacks, healing numbers on ultimates, cooldown times, and more. Let's get started. As of the time of this video, there are a total of a dozen strategists in Marvel Rivals. Adam Warlock, Cloak and Dagger, Deadpool, Gambit, Invisible Woman, Jeff the Land Shark, Loki, Luna Snow, Mantis, Rocket Raccoon, Ultron, and White Fox. Some have strong consistent heals, others have powerful burst healing, and some have a combination of both. Most have flat healing values, while Mantis finds herself as the only strategist whose healing changes based on the chosen ally's HP. Some provide healing with their ultimates, while others like Rocket provide utility and bonus health. Beginning with Adam Warlock, the Golden Boy has two healing abilities: Avatar Lifestream and Soul Bond. Avatar Lifestream is the primary healing ability he uses throughout most of the match when you finally see one on the third Thursday in June if it's a full moon while Jupiter is visible from the Empire State Building. This ability is a multi-target heal that bounces up to twice, meaning it can heal 3 targets in total, healing for 95 and also healing Adam for 35. Adam's self-healing from this ability is not counted in the number of bounces, and he can use the ability without a target, generally by looking up or down, to instead provide himself with the full healing of both a bounce as well as the built-in self-heal for a total of 130 healing. This ability has a 20-meter range, which generally sees Adam take on more of a combat medic archetype, as he's often closer to the fight than some of his counterparts for both the healing to take effect and to more reliably hit headshots for the cooldown reduction. Speaking of that, Avatar Lifestream has 2 charges with a 6-second recharge time, which is reduced by 1 second every time Adam hits a headshot with either his primary or secondary attacks. His second healing ability, Soul Bond, links himself to allies within 15 meters of his location for up to 6 seconds. During that time, damage taken by linked allies is shared to Adam Warlock and the other linked allies. Soul Bond provides 15 healing per second, allows Adam to fly for its duration, and has a few conditions attached that will cause it to end early. If Adam or a linked ally move too far away from one another, the link will break. If more than 250 damage is shared, it will also break. And finally, if Adam takes enough damage while linked that he would be KO'd, he's instead set to 1 HP and the link is broken. Cloak and Dagger have a total of 4 healing abilities, 3 of which require you to be using Dagger, while the 4th is also available to Cloak. Dagger's basic attack, Light Force Dagger, is a projectile that generates a spell field on contact with a pretty hefty auto-aim attached to it. The dagger heals for 16 when it connects and generates an 8-meter radius field, which also heals for 16. While it can be difficult to see, you can actually watch the field generate and disappear when healing a target, indicated by a solid blue circle on the ground, and a similar effect to her Dagger Storm bubble indicating the outer edge of the spherical field around the target above them. Light Force Dagger has a fire rate of 2.27 shots per second and an ammo capacity of 12. Her second healing ability, which I just mentioned, is Dagger Storm. This is a 5-meter radius sphere that Dagger throws to an area she can see, which provides an instant heal for 60 and a heal over time of 45 per second for its duration of 6 seconds. This ability has a 12-second cooldown, and like the pair's other abilities, cooldowns do continue to refresh while you're in the other form, meaning Dagger's cooldowns count while you play Cloak, and his while you play Dagger. Dagger's third healing ability, Light Explosion, which oddly is called Veil of Light Force on the the official website, deploys a large rectangular field in front of herself, advancing at 20 meters per second with a maximum range of 25 meters. This rectangle is 6 meters wide and 4.5 meters tall, applies a 15% healing increase for 4 seconds to any allies hit, and heals for 45 once per target when it first makes contact. Both Cloak and Dagger share the 2 charges of this ability, which have a 10-second recharge, between Light Explosion and Cloak's Terror Cape. There is also a built-in 2-second cooldown before you can use the second charge, which only applies to the form that you're in when you use the first charge, meaning if you use Dagger's Light Explosion, you can then switch to Cloak and immediately use Terror Cape and vice versa, while if you attempt to use Light Explosion twice, you'll have to wait for that 2 seconds to pass. The final healing ability, which both Cloak and Dagger have access to, is their ultimate, Eternal Bond. This is a series of 4 dashes that leave behind a smoke trail that both heals allies and deals damage to enemies for its duration. As of Season 7.5, the ultimate now lasts 11 seconds while it used to last 13, and a change all the way back in Season 2 means that the entire trail expires at once rather than each section fading individually like it had prior. These dashes create a set of cylindrical spell fields 4 meters in radius and 15 meters in length, which deal 30 damage per second to enemies and 250 healing per second to allies for their duration. The ultimate costs 4,500, which is a fairly average cost for strategists, with only a couple costing more or less than that. Strategist Deadpool has 8 total healing abilities. These include his Desert Eagles, his Katanas, his 2 ultimate abilities Ponage Pound and Final Exam, Bouncing Bobblehead, Healing Hijinks, Healing Hop, and Deadpool in your area. Let's try not to be here all day just covering this one undying idiot, yeah? His dual Desert Eagles are hit scan weapons that heal for 45 per shot and fire 2.5 rounds per second for 112.5 healing per second if every shot connects. This increases to 50 per shot when he upgrades his guns for 125 per second, along with the additional shot from the upgrade healing for 15 and the explosion healing for 40. The explosion is a 3-meter radius sphere around either the target it hits or the terrain it connects to if the projectile misses. His kick-ass katanas have a 4-meter maximum range and heal for 32 in a 5-meter radius sphere around Deadpool for each successful strike. These hits do not heal Deadpool himself, only his nearby allies. His attack interval for his swords are 0.6 seconds on the first strike, 0.53 on the second, and 0.6 again on the third. When upgraded, the healing increases both in value and in range, going up to 35 healing per strike in an 8-meter sphere, along with his attack speed increasing to 0.5, 0.43, and 0.5 seconds. The range remains at 4 meters though. Ponage Pound provides 80 healing per second to Deadpool and all allies within an 8-meter radius sphere around him, along with an additional 80 for each missed ability by the targeted enemy for 8 seconds. When upgraded, the duration remains at 8 seconds, but both the passive healing and healing per ability missed increase, the passive going to 100 per second and the missed ability healing increasing to 90. Final Exam uses that same 8-meter field, providing 70 healing per second, while Deadpool has up to 12 seconds to complete his challenge, and when completed the healing increases to 100 per second for up to 6 seconds. Upgraded, this increases to 80 per second during the challenge and 120 once completed, while also providing 300 bonus health to Deadpool for completing it. The challenge duration stays at 12 seconds, but the duration of the empowered version from challenge completion goes up to 8 seconds. Bouncing Bobblehead throws Deadpool's character icon, healing for 40 on the way out, 40 per second at the end of its travel, where it stays for 1 second, and an additional 40 on the way back to Deadpool. This projectile moves at 80 meters per second, and the ability has an 8-second cooldown. Upgraded, this ability becomes a mess of numbers. It heals for 45 on the way out, but only 30 on the way back, heals for 50 at the end of its travel, heals for 70 with the explosion attached to the third throw, and the duration stays at 1 second for both the first and second throws, while the third throw it remains for 2 seconds before returning to Deadpool. Healing hijinks are his sword form dashes, which he has 2 charges of, each taking 10 seconds to recharge. These dashes travel up to 12 meters and heal for 45 in a 5-meter radius sphere when they connect to an enemy. These dashes, much like his regular sword attacks, do not heal Deadpool himself. Upgraded, each charge provides 2 additional dashes if the first connects, meaning he can get a total of 6 dashes so long as he lands each one in turn. The dashes remain a 12-meter range, while the healing field increases to 8 meters and the healing amount increases to 55. Healing hop allows Deadpool to double jump, and if he jumps on an ally's head, he heals them for 35. The double jump has a cooldown of 6 seconds, but if Deadpool manages to continuously jump on either an ally or an enemy, the cooldown is immediately refreshed. This does allow Deadpool to triple jump, as the reset jump can be used while still in the air from the double jump. The final ability for this extensive kit that I didn't plan on taking an entire page of my script to write about is Deadpool in Your Area, which is a 12-second cooldown ability that projects a cylindrical field around Deadpool with a height and radius of 6 meters, healing for 60 per second for up to 5 seconds. When upgraded, this increases to 70 per second, while the cooldown and duration remain the same. Gambit sees a total of 6 healing abilities, or 7, with Bayou Bash transforming into Big Easy Impact when combined with his dash. Beginning with his basic attack, Kinetic Cards, these heal for 28 per card and are thrown in sets of 3 for up to 84 healing per attack. These cards move at 150 meters per second with a maximum distance of 60 meters and fire at 0.45 seconds per attack, or slightly over 2 attacks per second. Healing Hearts, one of his 2 card decks, applies a 20 HP per second self-heal to Gambit while he holds the card without throwing an ability, or up to 6 seconds in total. Each of these cards takes 8 seconds to recharge, and Gambit has a maximum of 4 cards at a time. While using Healing Hearts, Gambit has 2 additional healing abilities in Bridge Boost and Purifying Pickup. Bridge Boost fires a projectile at 120 meters per second, which automatically tracks allies and bounces between them, up to 6 bounces per cast, with the cards being able to bounce to the same ally only twice per cast. On contact, these cards heal for 50 and apply a 15% healing increase for 4 seconds, much like Dagger's Light Explosion. Purifying Pickup throws a total of 10 cards in front of Gambit, which move at 100 meters per second and travel up to 15 meters. These cards have a 5-meter spherical spell field, healing for 70 and purifying most negative effects when they explode. Gambit's Bayou Bash is a 5-meter radius sphere that heals both Gambit and allies for 60, with 2 charges that take 8 seconds to recharge each. Big Easy Impact, on the other hand, combines Bayou Bash with his Cajun Charge to dash 12 meters, generating 3 spell fields along the way, one every 0.1 seconds. These spell fields are 5-meter radius spheres, much like Bayou Bash, but only heal for 15 to both Gambit and his allies. Across all 3 spell fields, this means 45 healing instead of 60, but with the added benefit of mobility. Rage and Royal Flush, Gambit's ult, applies the same purification effect from Purifying Pickup to Gambit and all allies within a 110-degree cone in front of Gambit, while also increasing movement speed and jump height, increasing ultimate charge gain, and adding damage to Gambit and his allies' attacks. This ability does an instant heal of 100 HP, applies 40% increased movement speed, deals 25% echoing damage on attacks every 0.5 seconds, heals for 55 per second, and increases allied ult charge speed by 20% for 8 seconds. Basically, this ult does it all and then some more. Like Cloak and Dagger, Gambit's ult costs 4,500. Invisible Woman has 3 healing abilities for allies, with an additional one for herself. Starting with her basic attack, Orb Projection deals 2 instances of healing, 45 on the way out and 35 on the way back. These projectiles move at 150 meters per second with a maximum range of 35 meters, and can pierce through both allies and enemies up to their maximum range on every attack. She can attack twice per second, with her attack speed being exactly 0.5 seconds per attack, and has a total of 10 ammo per reload. Her secondary ability, Guardian Shield, places a shield in front of an ally with 200 HP that heals for 50 per second to allies, and 15 per second to Sue herself. The shield has a 3-meter radius and applies a 35% slow for up to 3 seconds to nearby enemies. The shield recovers 34 HP per second when not deployed, and has a 6-second cooldown if it's destroyed. The shield can be freely placed and recalled so long as it has HP remaining, and can be deployed in front of Sue if it's not actively out on the map elsewhere. Her third ability, Covert Advance, is only healing for Sue herself, but whenever she's invisible, she passively heals 30 HP per second as long as she remains invisible. Whether she uses an ability to reveal herself or an enemy attacks her, both stop the healing immediately. Finally, her ultimate, Invisible Boundary, places a large stationary cylinder with a 10-meter radius and a height of 40 meters at a selected location. When enemies pass through the barrier, they receive a 55% slow for 1 second, and while remaining in the field, enemies are slowed by 20%. Enemies outside of the field also cannot see inside, instead seeing delayed projections of their allies' location. The ultimate lasts for 8 seconds and heals 180 HP per second to all allies within it. This ult also has a cost of 4,500 like the others mentioned so far. Jeff the Land Shark has a total of 3 healing abilities for allies and 1 for himself. His basic attack, Joyful Splash, heals for 130 per second in a concentrated beam in front of himself. This healing sees no distance fall off, but the beam will naturally begin to curve with gravity over long distances and may fall short of the target if aimed directly at them. The individual projectiles of the beam move at 100 meters per second, and Jeff has 100 ammo before reloading, which is consumed at 20 per second. His second healing ability, Healing Bubble, spits a bubble in front of Jeff that is activated when an ally or Jeff walk over it. The bubble heals for 30 HP per second and applies a 15% healing boost for 4 seconds, along with a 60% movement speed boost for the same duration. Jeff can have up to 5 bubbles on the map at once, with each bubble having a 3-minute duration. Jeff has 3 charges of Healing Bubble, which have a 6-second cooldown each. Jeff's third healing ability is his ultimate, It's Jeff. When Jeff dives into the ground, he leaves behind a pool that heals allies for 100 HP per second, and if he swallows any allies with the second activation of his ult, they are healed for 225 per second instead. If this healing overcaps their HP, it instead turns into 45 bonus health per second with a cap of 150. It's Jeff is a 10-meter radius spherical spell field that has a height of 5 meters, but you'd never know it because somehow you'll always be eaten by it every single time, even when you swear you're not in it. This ult also costs 4,500. Lastly, Jeff has Hide and Seek, his personal healing ability. Jeff dives into the ground, allowing him to wall crawl while also healing himself for 35 per second and gaining 60% movement speed. Hide and Seek has a maximum energy of 120 and costs 20 per second to maintain, recovering 15 per second when Jeff is no longer underground. Jeff also becomes CC immune for the duration of his dive during Hide and Seek as well. Jeff, during Hide and Seek, will occasionally hum the Jaws theme song to himself, which means that Jaws must exist in Marvel. I'm not sure what to do with that information, but there it is. Loki has 2 healing abilities with an additional for himself. His basic attack, Mystical Missile, heals 10 HP with the projectile and an additional 40 with the spell field for up to 50 per shot. The attack moves at 100 meters per second, has a 3-meter radius spell field, and while it has damage fall off, it has no healing fall off. Loki can fire 1.75 rounds per second and has an ammo count of 10. His clones fire at the same location as Loki himself and echo 100% of his healing as of a recent patch, meaning that Loki with both of his clones active can heal up to 150 per target per shot. His second healing ability, Regeneration Domain, is a cylindrical spell field cast around Loki and any active clones. This field has a radius of 5 meters, a height of 2 meters, and is maintained by a rune that appears floating in the air over Loki or his clones. The field heals 100 per second and converts damage taken by allies within the field into healing at a 30% conversion rate. The runes have 100 health and can be destroyed to end the effect early, otherwise Regeneration Domain lasts for 5 seconds. seconds. The ability has a 30-second cooldown, so much like Adam's Soul Bond, it's not always available, but when it is, it's a powerful tool. For himself, Loki has his secondary ability, Deception. This leaves a clone behind at his location while making Loki invisible, and once he has become invisible, he can stay that way indefinitely. While invisible, he can reload, use his Devious Exchange ability to swap places with a clone, and use Doppelganger to place a clone while staying invisible, but any other actions will end the invisibility. While invisible, Loki heals for 20 HP per second, and Deception has a 15-second cooldown. Luna Snow has 3 healing abilities, and 2 for herself, with one that affects multiple abilities. Her basic attack, Light and Dark Ice, heals 24 health per round, and Luna's attack fires 3 rounds at once, for 72 healing total. This attack has a speed of 0.5 seconds, meaning she can attack twice per second. She has a total of 30 ammo, and the attack is hit scan, so just like Deadpool, the attack connects immediately rather than having a projectile speed. Her second healing ability, Ice Arts, replaces her basic attack for 6 seconds. During that time, her attacks pierce, and the healing is slightly increased to 75 per attack instead of 72. She fires 1.43 rounds per second while Ice Arts is active, so a slight loss of attack speed in order to allow her to pierce both allies and enemies, increasing both damage and healing output overall. Her ultimate, Fate of Both Worlds, creates a 10-meter spell field around herself that heals for 200 instantly and then 250 per second to all allies within its radius for 10 seconds. During this time, Luna generates overhealth for herself up to 250 total and can freely switch between healing or a damage boost every 0.5 seconds while the ult continues. If she switches out of the healing, she does not provide any healing to allies, but instead provides a 40% damage boost. This ultimate has a cost of 5,000, which is currently the most expensive ult in Marvel Rivals. Her first self-healing ability, Cryo Heart, passively restores health to Luna when she activates either Ice Arts or Absolute Zero. She heals 30 HP per second for 3 seconds, for a total of 90 self-healing per ability. Her second, Number 1 Idol, increases her damage and healing and provides a portion of the healing she does to others back to herself. She sees a 10% increase to both healing and damage, and receives healing based on effective healing, meaning that you can't shoot an ally at full HP and regenerate yourself. This HP regenerates in either 10 or 11 HP sets at a time, which means it probably ends up in a decimal point value somewhere, and it rounds out every other heal. That shows you how much I play Luna. Even though I love math, I don't know her number values well enough to know the exact healing. Mantis has 2 healing abilities for allies and 1 for herself. Her first healing ability, Healing Flower, consumes one of her 4 total life orbs to provide an instant heal to an ally along with a heal over time effect. The instant heal is 55 HP, while the heal over time is 10 plus 2.5% of the target's maximum HP per second for up to 8 seconds, and can be applied twice to increase that time to 16 seconds. For some fun math, that means that Healing Flower can heal anywhere between 15 HP per second on Bruce Banner, being 10 plus 5, which is 2.5% of his 200 HP, and a whopping 47.5 HP per second on his extremely raged out counterpart Monster Hulk, being 10 plus 37.5, which is 2.5% of Monster's 1500 HP. Mantis is currently the only percentage-based strategist, which can make her healing stronger with high HP vanguards, such as Groot or Devil Dinosaur, while she will have less healing with characters like Deadpool and Angela. Her second healing ability is her ultimate, Soul Resurgence. Mantis creates a 15-meter radius sphere around herself, applying an instant heal of 200 to herself and allies within that range, and then continuing to heal 150 HP per second for the 8-second duration of the ability. Any healing beyond her or her allies' max HP is converted to bonus health with a cap of 150. Mantis also increases her allies' movement speed by 3 meters per second while they remain within her ult, and Soul Resurgence has a cost of 4,300. Mantis has one self-healing ability, which is her passive Nature's Favor. Whenever she consumes a life orb, Mantis passively heals 12.5 HP per second for 8 seconds for a total of 100 HP. This cannot overcap her health, so any additional healing beyond her maximum is lost. Rocket Raccoon has only one healing ability, his secondary attack Repair Mode, although this does heal both Rocket and his allies. Repair Mode projectiles move at 80 meters per second, but when they're close enough to an ally or Rocket to heal, they slow down to only 7 meters per second. Repair Mode heals 50 HP per second to allies, 30 HP per second to Rocket, and apply a one-time heal of 55 on first contact with allies, although Rocket himself cannot receive that burst heal. This burst heal can be reset by bouncing Rocket's orb off of a nearby wall, floor, or ceiling, making aiming at your allies' feet an effective strategy to increase your overall healing output. Repair Mode's orbs can bounce a maximum of 10 times and last for 5 seconds each. Rocket's ammo count was recently increased to 10 for Repair Mode, having been 8 previously, and he can fire 2 rounds per second. Ultron possesses 2 healing abilities, both of which can heal himself as well as his allies. Imperative Patch applies a drone to an ally within 25 meters, healing them for 35 HP per second and creating an 8-meter radius spell field around them. Any other allies within this field are healed for 30 HP per second, including Ultron himself. Ultron can have up to 2 drones out at once, allowing him to cover multiple fronts with consistent healing, but the fields do not stack. An ally with a drone who is within the field of the other drone does not heal for 65 HP per second, and allies without drones who are inside overlapping drone fields do not heal for 60. Ultron's drones will remain on his chosen allies unless moved by Ultron, or the ally moves further than 35 meters away from Ultron or is out of his line of sight for 5 seconds, at which point the drone will automatically recall to Ultron and can be placed on someone else. Ultron's second healing ability is his ultimate, Rage of Ultron. This summons several Ultron drones to attack with Ultron, firing projectiles that move at 120 meters per second. Ultron and his drones fire a total of 5 volleys, each consisting of 5 shots that heal for 40 per shot. There is a 0.2 second delay between each shot of the volley and a 0.5 second delay between each volley. While using his ultimate, Ultron heals for 50 HP per second for the entire 9-second duration. Ultron also becomes unstoppable during his ultimate, so once it begins, it cannot be interrupted. Rage of Ultron costs 4,000, making it one of the less expensive ultimates that provide healing. Lastly, White Fox has a total of 7 healing abilities, 2 of which are only available during her ultimate. I don't want to butcher the name of her basic attack, so I'll put it on screen here and I'll just call it the Fox Marble, since that's what the tooltip calls it. These projectiles move at 120 meters per second, and when it bounces, they move at 80 meters per second. It travels up to 35 meters, and after bouncing up to 6 meters. On a direct hit, her basic attack heals for 50, while on a bounce, it only heals for 35. She has a fire rate of 0.45 seconds per round, meaning she can attack slightly faster than twice per second. Her secondary attack, Spectral Surge, consumes one of her 3 Spirit Tail resources to cast. The projectile moves at 60 meters per second, has a 3 meter radius for both its damage and healing, along with a 0.8 meter radius for the charm and invincibility effects. It heals for 65, applies a 0.4 second invincibility, and has a maximum range of 35 meters. When cast, it also heals White Fox for 55 HP. Fox Form Awakening sees White Fox become a melee attacker, creating a 10 meter radius spell field around herself, which pulses healing as well as applying more healing on successful melee strikes. She passively heals 25 HP to herself and allies within the field, and when striking an enemy, heals for 35 per hit. The duration of this ability changes based on the number of Spirit Tails when used, being 7 seconds with 1 tail, 8 seconds with 2 tails, and 9 seconds with all 3. Fox Form Awakening has a 15-second cooldown. Her 4th healing ability, Spirit Sanctuary, has a 12-second cooldown, a 30-meter maximum range, heals for 50 to both White Fox and her chosen ally, and creates a 5-meter radius spell field with 200 HP that applies a 20 HP per second heal over time for up to 5 seconds. Her ultimate, Kumiho Unleashed, costs 4,800 and transforms White Fox into her 9-tailed fox form, providing a continuous 85 healing per second to allies within a 10-meter radius spell field around herself. Her ultimate lasts for up to 10 seconds and changes her HP maximum maximum to 900 from her normal 275. She loses access to her basic abilities and instead receives two new ones, Ninefold Slam and Blessed by the Nine. Ninefold Slam takes the place of her basic attack and becomes a 5-meter range melee attack that heals both her and allies within the spell field for 100 HP. She can attack once per second with Ninefold Slam with no additional cooldown or resource cost outside of that. Her secondary attack, Blessed by the Nine, allows her to pick an ally to grant passive healing to, along with both the Unstoppable condition and Lifesteal. This ability has a 50-meter range and applies a 40 HP per second heal, along with 3 seconds of Unstoppable and 25% Lifesteal on a 2-second cooldown. Every time I make one of these videos, they somehow seem to get longer and longer in the script writing process. I'm at nearly 30,000 characters and we just finished the ability rundown. I even avoided talking about damage values as much as possible since I knew that would just make things take longer. Like, that was an intentional choice to only talk about healing. Even with Rocket having one heal, this script just kept going. Hopefully this helped shed some light on the strategists for you though, understanding healing values, ammo counts, attack speeds, as well as ultimate costs for the healing based ultimates. As always, feel free to ask any questions you might have in the comments and I'll do my best to answer them or point you in the right direction if I'm not sure. Thank you so much for being here. That bell means class is once again dismissed. Leave a like on your way out the door, drop a comment for the algorithm if you'd be so kind, and subscribe for more education focused content with the occasional dad joke tossed in to farm eye rolls.